This morning, Trump is the projected winner of the presidential race. The counts dragged on overnight, with most major news sources declaring him the projected winner between 6 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Yeah, so for some perspective and analysis, we've invited University of Houston Morris Professor of History and History Department Chair Nancy Beck Young. Thank you so much for coming in this morning. It sounds like you didn't get a lot of sleep, like a lot of people trying to wait out the results. Let's talk about the history, the election night results. So in 2020, on election day was November 3rd. We didn't know until November 7th that President Biden had won. Can you kind of talk about the difference here? We all kind of thought we might be waiting a very long time.
Right? Yes, it did seem like history would repeat and we would have to wait. But some significant process changes happened. For example, in Georgia, they changed their counting process so that they could report same day. And Georgia is a state that flipped in former President Trump's, President-elect Trump's favor. So that was important. And I think also the margins here are speeding up the count. If the election had been as close as the polls suggested, then we might have been looking at Friday for results. But because it looks like he's on track to maybe sweep all 7 battleground states as of this morning, that has sped things along.
Makes it easier for all those news outlets to call.
Yes, makes it easier to happen sooner.
So let's talk a little bit more about Trump. Now, you know, he came into this race with a lot of baggage, a criminal conviction, a loss in 2020. So what does this say about what voters want that now he's been elected?
Sure. So I don't think there's one easy answer to that question. So I think the results have to do with fear. Have to do with right track, wrong track numbers with regard to where we've been the last 4 years. So concern over the economy is a big thing. People don't like paying what they're paying for gasoline. People don't like paying what they're paying for groceries. And the party in power always takes a bath when people are upset about the economy. So I think that's a big part of it. I think that the Trump campaign was very effective in ginning up fears about the border, but about other issues as well. The anti-transgender ads, I think, probably played a significant role in some races. Trump had a campaign event in a barbershop where he said, you send your son to school and he comes home a girl at the end of the day. And that scares people. People are afraid of what they don't understand.
No matter who won, whether it was going to be Vice President Harris or President Trump, this made history. I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, how it would have made history if it were Vice President Harris.
Right. So if Vice President Harris had won, she would have been the first woman president. She would have been the first woman of color president. So that would have been history making. That glass ceiling remains in effect. The country is not comfortable with female leadership in the highest echelons of power.
Or maybe not that female leader. I mean, to be fair,
right. It might take a Republican woman to be the first female president of the country. I don't know. The future will have to tell us that. Trump makes history by being the second president to come back and win office after having been defeated. And so that's history making. He will also be the oldest president we have had. He is the only president elected after being convicted of a felony and all of the other convictions that he has faced. So there's a lot of history there.
Let's talk about other races. You know, the U.S. Senate has flipped. That's the first time that that's happened since 2018. So why is that now significant with a Republican president?
So with a Republican president and a Republican Senate, that means it's a clear path to filling the judiciary with exactly who the Trump administration wants to put in. So watch for retirements on the Supreme Court. Watch for, instead of a 6 to 6-3 court with 2 aging justices. Watch for a younger version of Clarence Thomas. Watch for a younger version of Samuel Alito. And this 6-3 will remain 6-3 for another 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
So that will be significant.
All right. And yeah, we'll be watching the congressional races. I know we're out of time for this, but as a history professor, you've got a lot to talk about now, right? Yes. A lot to study. We appreciate you coming on to talk with us about it this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Nancy Beck Young, thank you so much.